It's a special day, Talon.
You want to intro or you want me to intro?
I know, should we flip?
I think
rock,
you should
paper,
intro.
scissors
Yeah,
for
ready?
rock, paper, scissors.
1, 2, 3, go. Oh, you didn't do it?
No, I'm sorry. Let's do it again.
1, 2, 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Okay, you're up.
Ladies and gentlemen, podcast of the people whom we love, we want to welcome you today to today's podcast, and we are so delighted to have a very special guest, my wife, your mother, our beloved Miss Abby Pollock. Everybody welcome the beloved pretty girl.
So
welcome, baby, to the podcast.
I know. I can't believe I'm here.
Is this, how do you feel? I mean, just awkward, nervous, happy, excited? What's your feelings?
I probably feel like I've been invited into the Holy of Holies, and the priests are only allowed in here. So, you know, I don't know if I have my bells on, if I'll make it out alive, but hopefully.
You're here. No,
it's an honor. It's so fun. It's exciting. You know, I listen to you guys all the time. So I love your set. It looks so good. You guys are so cool, and you guys are so awesome. So thanks for having me.
Thanks for making it.
Yeah.
We didn't think we could afford you.
Well, yeah, it took you guys, you know, a couple months to get there.
How did we budget her in?
We had to save on the budget.
I want to say congratulations on your 5,000. It's probably plus now followers on Instagram. That is absolutely incredible.
Nice.
Wow,
Thank you to all the listeners that are tuning in.
That's the first time we ever had the team clap. That was a big deal. I mean,
the audience, I'm bringing the
room
best here
in
out
the
of
palm of your
everybody.
hand.
So
Yeah,
good
it's been
job,
good.
guys. I'm really, really proud.
We can kind of say honestly, we've sat down, we're doing this raw. We've never been here before. We don't all know what we're doing, but we're just following
Sure.
this right. I think it's cool because I think so much about our life is structured. You know, what we do Sunday, worship, we planning center, we have a plan of action, we've done church, but this is so real and raw. It just has that nature of like, where are we going? We don't know, but we're just going to keep going. Like,
Scary
we do this
sometimes.
weekly. I almost am concerned. Are we turning this ministry into a podcast ministry? Like, Jesus, are you okay?
Totally. We were talking when we were ordering the coffees. Shout out to the press always.
Yeah.
Got you your press.
Yeah,
but
thank you.
and one of the workers there, his name is Michael, and I was like, we need these extra hot. And you know, that into their world, that's just like, bro, you're butchering your drink right now. Like he told me, he's like, man, I really advise against this. It's gonna affect your coffee, like it's gonna burn it. And I'm like, man, I totally understand. I never do this, but only on Tuesdays or Thursdays because we have a podcast. And he's like, oh, you record a podcast? That's so sick. And he's like, what's the podcast about? And I was like, you know, it's a Christian podcast. I do it with my dad, and you know, we're gonna have my mom on it today, and it's kind of a family affair. But he was like, no way, that's so cool. Like, how long have you guys been doing it? And I paused, and I was like, you know what? We've been doing it for a couple years now.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing to me is that you could be doing something so consistently, just doing something, and to watch it grow where we didn't really expect it to grow, which is, I don't know if that's wrong or right, but we kind of just stuck to what we were doing, and one little key move, and now it's like 5,000 followers on Instagram. I was just amazed by that in that moment, because you could kind of think like, oh yeah, it's just blown up in the past couple months, but it's like, no, we've been doing this for so long.
True.
You know? I
I think we probably go back to 2016, 2017 is when we started, and we've done all that. I think, it is. It's amazing. It's neat. And like I always say, but you and Dylan really, really have encouraged me in this. And what you guys have said, it seems to be true that podcasts are almost more popular now than worship music and stuff.
Amazing.
It just seems
music in general.
music in a general sense. It's just, I think that I love it. It's growing on me, but I love the setting because it's not a Sunday. We just get to sit, be real, be raw, and be authentic. And I really love the setting of it. It's not a scripted. I mean, we just talked maybe for a couple moments and prayed before we got on here, but honestly, it's real and raw, and I love that. I think with Mom coming on, and thank you for taking the time and being here today. I want to start with you though, Talon. Maybe I'll just sit in the chair of answering questions and stuff like that. But you know, you were raised. You're our eldest, the eldest son. Yeah, 4. We can give a little background. Of course, most people may or may not know, but we have 4 children. We'll be married 22 years in 2023.
Wow.
Good job.
22 years.
And what's the birth date of our kids? And
Do you know our
what
anniversary
grade are
date?
they in? And what schools do they go to? No, just kidding.
Talon's the eldest, and he'll be 25.
Good job.
Talon, like, what was it like when you think of mom? Like, how do you define and describe mom? What do you appreciate about her? What to a person that doesn't know much about mom, like, what would you say? Who is mom to you?
Yeah, well, she's so many things in so many seasons, but I think through every role that she's always played, she's always just been very consistent. And I think that's what I value from you is like your consistent walk with the Lord, your consistency to being the best wife that you can to Dad, your consistency in being just such an available and loving mom. That spoke for me over the years, like, wow, I can look back and reflect on where could I have gone without you, you know? So I don't know, like that's a loaded question, but yeah, I think from a kid to the parent role, I just always felt so secure with you. I always felt so loved. I feel like you did everything right. And I know that some people that's hard to hear because a lot of people don't have that story. But I think I'm just so blessed to have such a good mom, such a good dad.
So sweet.
But does that answer your question? I don't.
Yeah.
So you forgive me for SpongeBob?
Right. She didn't let us watch SpongeBob until
For a season.
a long time.
It was a long time?
Yeah.
But then I remember watching it.
And then you're just like, okay, it's okay.
it's
They're working it out as we speak.
Right. But it's all good. We're here.
Oh, that's sweet. Thanks, Kit. Thanks, T.
You're welcome.
Babe, so that's a cool aspect of you as a woman and have a completely different perspective than Talon and I and all of our walk and all of our journey. And you've raised 4 children, nearly have raised 4 children, and you wear so many different hats and, so many different dynamics to your life. I would love to know, like within your life, defining seasons, but what are some like keys to your life? What are some pillars? What have you learned along the way? How do you manage home, manage family, husband, all that? How do you keep those things moving? Because I think too, I would say what Talon said too, I think one attribute about you that most people would say is you're an amazing supporter. You're just there.
Yeah.
You support. I mean, you're dependent. Like you said, dependent. You're dependable. You're support. You're going to support everybody, which I think we just need to say this too. Like behind me, behind this ministry, behind this is your continual support. Now we could layer that down into prayer, but you're a supportive woman. You have supported and anchored those things. What are some aspects of your life that? How do you live? How have you walked that out? What are some attributes to your life that you say, man, these are like my bedrock pillars?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to say. You guys are so sweet. It's kind of making me uncomfortable talking about me.
Our goal was to get you uncomfortable.
Because I am not at all anybody. I mean, take what you can from me, but I know there's so many incredible women. Yeah. So I love all the women out there. I know you're killing it right now, doing whatever you're doing. But yeah, I think for me, it's, I've always had the Lord in my life, always. So that's, of course, the key to my life is him. But even getting married and having children and having to learn all these new hats and put on all these new hats, I feel like, so many times the enemy can try to pull you out of that spot where you're supposed to be. But I learned early on, and I'm so glad I did looking back now, it's almost been 22 years we've been married. And I'm so thankful that I learned that the Lord taught me that my ministry is my family.
Wow.
And so with as much intentionality and passion as you put into your message for 40 weeks, or as you, Talon, put into your music, prayer, you're fasting, you're praying, you're ready. It's kind of how I took my family that serious.
Wow.
And so for me, that's what God spoke to me, because I think, growing up, and then you get saved and you feel a call of God on your life, and you want to go and you want to preach and you want to sing, because I love singing, I love playing guitar, I love writing songs.
Yeah, she's in our family, the original songwriter, huh? Talon.
But
She's the Genesis.
But, you know, the Lord had to really get a hold of my heart and said, you know, I've called you. There'll be time for all that. But the time right now is for ministering to your family, ministering to your husband, and ministering to your kids. Because without you in your place, they're not going to make the destination that I've called for them. And it's kind of the fear of the Lord that keeps me in that place. Because as much as your messages are going to go around the world, I know that what you're looking forward to is coming home and having a wife that is there and ready and available and attentive and in love with you and not distracted. And I know with our kids, wherever they go and whatever they do, when they return home, they're going to have a mom that's attentive and aware and at rest and at peace. And just in this life, people are looking for people to depend on. God is the ultimate depender. I know that. We depend on him. But I just want to encourage you moms, you ladies, like that role of being a wife and a mother, it outstands anything. It's the priority that is greater, and it's going to speak more, and it's going to affect the lives of your family more than you know. So choose wisely.
Wow.
So like I'm thinking right when you say that a little bit, it's so true, but a couple different things I think we could talk about. I don't know. Wouldn't we say that there is an illusion in the church world that just the stage and the preacher and the singer is the call of God? Like, why have we reduced the call of God to like a handful of people? So what you're saying is so profound. Motherhood is a call of God.
Yeah.
Becoming a wife is a call of God. And probably the enemy has just, has just probably hindered so much of the success and fruitfulness of home, of family, because he's separated that reality. Like, God, you're called, you're anointed. It's such a powerful dynamic. But when you're talking, and that's so true, I was thinking too, even in Titus says that like that woman can either release the word or hinder the word. Like when I say that to you, or when we think about that for a moment, Talon, all of our children, all of our lives, but like your role may be not so much seen by the naked eye, by everybody, but your role was still so vital. Like how motherhood, wifehood, how was that a ministry? What did you do? How did you walk that out? How did you embrace that? So I know you're clean, you take care of our home, you're there, you're present, all that. So that's ministry. And now you're seeing the fruit of that. But what does that look like in a more practical way, that you don't have to have a mic in your mouth to feel like you're called?
Right. Well, essentially, I do have a mic in my mouth, and I'm teaching 4 little children always. So they're going to grow up and be adults. So, I mean, you are speaking into the lives of the most important people that God's ever going to put within your family. I mean, it's very practical for me.
Yeah.
I'm not...
Babe, this is podcast for the people. This is a practical podcast.
I'm probably not going to give any great revelation on, but it's just being there. It's being at home. Now, if the home is my sanctuary per se, and I'm the minister in that home, then I want it clean. I want there to be, positive, like life flowing in it. I want it organized. This is what I've always wanted, is I know that when the kids, when you go outside of the doors, you are in a war. And I want you to feel like when you come home, you are in the shelter. You are safe. You don't have to fight. You don't have to, just go through all the things that you go through outside those doors. I want it to be the complete opposite. I want you to want to come home. I want it to be restful. And so for me, like a clean house makes kids restful. It makes my husband restful. If I have a good attitude, that makes the place restful. I love to clean the house. I'm a clean person. I'm glad, that we share that.
Just to this day.
Yes.
Just yesterday, she's still clean. She spent all day yesterday cleaning it. To this day, once a week, Abby cleans the house. And we kind of like, I want to let's at this stage, let's get a house cleaner. 22 years in.
Yeah.
But she still wants
Well,
to
yeah,
clean up.
I won't let you, because I mean, to me, over 22 years, it's become sacred for me, because I'm not just cleaning the toilets. I'm praying over their rooms. I'm praying over the atmosphere. I'm listening to the Lord if there's anything that I need to be aware of. I'm taking a temperature of the home.
Wow.
I'm taking the temperature of the atmosphere, and, you know, thinking about, you know, what my kids have been going through and my husband's been going through, and how can I come up with a plan to be an answer and not a problem in those situations. So to me, it's hard. My back hurts. You know, I'm almost 40, going on 45. So it does. You're scrubbing floors. You're doing all that. And I think one day I will relinquish that. Maybe when all the kids move out.
Maybe 2023.
But as of right now, I feel that it keeps me even more connected with them.
Wow.
You know, I don't know. I do. So practically, yes, I like to be not only in the house, but putting my touch on things, because I think touch is so important. And it gives a great time just to pray over them.
It was on Monday. Talon, I was taking out the trash barrels because you're gone and Caleb's gone, so now I got the trash duty. You know, like, where the boys at? Help me with the trash.
Yeah.
And I tried to being lazy, not lazy. I just wanted to put two together. So I put these two, and those, I like cut my finger in the group. I mean, bad. I'm gonna have a scar. Bad. Okay. And I send a picture to Abby, like, oh my gosh, look at this cut, and, you know, doing all this stuff. So yesterday, I'm looking at Mom's hand. She walks out. She goes, my hands are looking like yours from cleaning. She's got cuts all over her hands. I just want to insert this because we don't always go this direction. Talon, you can, in regards to your wife, know the value in Abby, but like, I think we got Dylan sent over, something sent over that just moms, oh, I'm listening to podcasts while I'm doing laundry or this and that. Like, what a gift to, I know that I couldn't run at the octane, the level I do without what you do. Like, what a vital part to every man, to every success. Is there a woman who supports, prays, encourages? Is there, what a massive part. One thing I think was so, you know, knowing you so good, but was so cute. I remember when we first purchased our first home, and we were so excited about that. And you went to Hobby Lobby and got stencils, and you put a verse and a scripture over Talon's in Talon's room, and Caleb and Holbrook, and just put that up over them and declared that word over them. And that's such a powerful, you know, declaration of the word. But not only were you just doing that, but it wasn't just natural. You were making it very, very spiritual. Talon, I think of one thing about Mom too, and you can say, but I think like Mom's a warrior. Like, I know Mom's going to pray. Like, I know she's interceding. And we don't talk about this often on the setting, and maybe we're going deep, but like praying in the spirit, like I love that aspect. So it's not just that Mom's doing these natural things, but like she's really praying and the power of that. Do you remember as a kid? I mean, do you remember those angles at kids, or what was that like? Do you remember that verse over your?
Well, and this is going to tie into what I want to talk about, but you were always very vocal. She was always behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I think that it ties into everything. Like, you may not hear her like walking around the house crying like you are, but you know that she's like in her room going to war, like you said. Which is my question to Mom, is like, a lot of what you're saying, you have to be a very selfless person to be good at being a mom and being a wife.
So true.
So how did that come easy to you? Or was that a struggle? I know that a lot of women out there, they may fight with the urge to, I need to do this, and I need to be successful, and I need to make it, and my name needs to be known. And but then they're wrestling with, oh, but I have children and I have a wife. And were you always selfless, or is this something that you learned? What is your perspective on selflessness?
Yeah, that's such a great question. It is this world. No, everybody, I should say. I don't think anybody's really saying it anymore. That you know, you have to be seen, you have to be known, you need to be on Instagram, you have to have this many followers, you have to be preaching, you have to be teaching, you have to have a Bible study, you have to have a prayer ministry. I mean, I got hit with all these things. In the ministry, everybody's, oh, you're so good, you should do that. Oh, you're so good, you should travel. Oh, you're so good, you should write a book. Oh, you're so good, you should start a prayer ministry. Or all the moms out there, busy doing this and that. And I got to go to have a girlfriend's night, and I got to go hang out with here, and I got to go do this, and I need a break, and I need me time and my time, which is all good. And I'm not speaking against that at all. But, it is a selfless place. But to me, I just believe that God ingrained that in me, because my heart was never like, I got to be seen, I got to go, I got to do all this. It was, I just want to be in God's will for my life. And I know the safest place is in the will of God. And so, all these people are saying things, so that makes me question, like, well, is this the right thing? Because this looks like I'd be doing so much more for the Lord if I were to go on the road, if I were to, have a prayer team or have a Bible study, or, even before I was married, I was like, oh, I want to be just like Joyce Meyer, and I want to go teach and preach and write books and all that. I feel like I'm called to do that. And so getting married and feeling like the Lord told me, hey, this is your ministry and this is what you have to do. It was more of a pull from the outside trying to tell me what is significant and what's important. And that's why, I so appreciate Dad, is he would always reassure me that this is exactly the place you're supposed to be in. And your role is so vital. And I couldn't do what I do without you. And so he reassured that in me. And then really I just really want to please the Lord. I guess we've been fortunate enough to know so many people that at the end of their lives, all they're really thinking about is heaven. I'm going to heaven. And man, I wish I would have been with my family more, or I wish I would have been there for my kids more and got them to church. And to me, I think those were God moments. I don't know who else heard it when they said it, but when God whispers to me, I know that at the end of my life, that's all that's going to matter. So in this moment, I don't feel like it's selfless, because I know that that's the greatest thing that matters at the end. And so I constantly keep that in mind. And I constantly am so grounded in it now that nothing can really pull me out of that. This is not important. This is so important. And I couldn't scream on the mountaintops enough that, your kids are being loved by someone. If you're not loving them, something else is going to love them,
making them feel loved.
Yeah, if you're not there for them, something else will be there for them. If you're not aware of them, something else will be aware of them. So, selflessness, it is selfless, and it is hard. It's day in and day out of doing things that you're going to have to repeat all over the next day. Getting up on time, getting the kids, getting a routine, making dinner, driving them here, driving them there. But at the end, that's what God's called me to do. But hasn't he called us all to be selfless?
Yeah. Right. Totally.
And to give of our lives as Jesus gave his.
So basically you're saying that you discovered early on that your perspective towards what is valuable maybe wasn't what the world was saying.
Right.
So to you, it didn't really necessarily feel like, oh, I'm being so selfless or this or that, because at the end of the day, walking in the will of God is more than satisfying for your life.
Yes. Amen.
And that translates not even from just women and moms and wives, but to anybody. Because I think us as men, and we could think we need this to feel successful, or we need to make it here or there. But what if that's not even what God's will is for your life?
Right.
And how sad would it be that we spent, like what you said, those people that they spent their whole life chasing this. And at the end, all they regret was, oh, I wish that I put more time into what really matters. So would you say that one of the most valuable keys in our life is being able to recognize God's will for our life?
Yeah.
How do you encourage a mom out there that's maybe battling with this?
Well, I would even suggest to everybody that don't let the world define it. Let God define. You have to let God define what success is for your life. Everybody's life looks different. And I can tell you, you're going to be so happy, even though it doesn't look like something you may want. When you are in the will of God, it is, like you just said, it's so fulfilling and it's so rewarding. And I think the best part is I look back these 22 years and I don't have a single regret.
Wow.
I don't regret being there for you. I don't regret saying no and leaving services when the Holy Ghost was moving and everybody's getting words of wisdom and everybody's getting prophesied over. And I know my children are little and they need to be tucked into bed. They need to be prayed over. They need to read books. They need to get in the bath. And so I look back at that moment. It was kind of hard. Oh gosh, I'm going to be missing out. But no, now I look back and say, wow, how precious were those moments. I don't find myself sad or missing out on anything. So the will of God is, it's so fulfilling in one's life.
In this conversation, when you were just saying all that, I went to my phone for a text because October 20th at 11:32 a.m., Mom sent me a quote from Billy Graham right before he passed. The great, historical, legendary Billy Graham, biblical character, feature. I mean, incredible man of God. Billy Graham was asked if he could do it all again, what would he do differently? He said, yes, of course. I spend more time at home with my family. I'd study more and preach less. I wouldn't have taken so many speaking engagements and traveled so much. That's exactly what we're articulating. And you sent that to me as an encouragement. Billy Graham said, I would have traveled less, been home more, studied more, preached less. That's the hindsight of what you're saying in that. And it's so powerful of that. Do you think that at times, I would like to know too, what Talon, what are your battles right now? What were your battles? How did you fight? Because the enemy, this is just fascinating. The first thing we get from God asked Adam a question. Where are you? Now Adam wasn't camouflage. I mean, God knows where he is. I know I've said this for many years, but he's asking him a question on what? Self-awareness. Adam, are you aware of where you are?
Right.
So the enemy's always attacking identity, question. I mean, I've said this all the time. The enemy leads with a question mark. Dylan Brown, what are you doing? Is it enough? Is it significant? Matthew Pollock, Talon, why aren't you there yet? Why didn't it happen? Right. Abby, why are you? He's always attacking where we are. He's attacking that place, not trusting in God and resting in God. So I'm sure you've been attacked along the way and you're attacked along the way. But so it's an identity thing. I heard someone say here recently too, as believers, like our superpowers are transparency. Just being honest and vulnerability with that. So with that, Billy Graham, at the end of his life, and I haven't heard one negative thing about Billy, right? I mean, he's the man. That's what he had to say. So even within his journey, he was feeling, and Mom can tell you, do you know that along this journey, I can still lay in bed at night and say, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not studying enough. I'm not praying enough. I got to do more for this church. I could live constantly saying it's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. Like, think about that. Oh my gosh, I gotta do more. I gotta do more. I gotta do more. I'm gonna get burnt. I got feeling that like, hold on just a moment. I studied for 5 hours. I prayed for an hour and a half at the like, right? Does that make sense? So what talent is in that? And then Mom, what, like, do you feel that? Or what Billy just said, Mom's saying that. And what are your battles? What are your guys' battles? I know I could talk, I've been open about that, but do you feel like it's not going to happen? You're not going to be fulfilled. What does that look like? What are your guys' battles?
I would say sometimes I battle with the idea that I'm running out of time.
Wow.
That I'll wake up one day older and realize, dang, did I not do enough? Or did I not walk in faith enough? I can kind of fear that what I feel like God's calling me to do is not that it won't happen, but just maybe it's not happening to the degree that I want it to be in the current moment. So I could be fearful that, maybe it won't change. Maybe it'll, I'll be stuck in this tier or this level forever.
Wow.
And I think that just comes with like age, you know?
Sure.
Because I've never really dealt with like, you know, the joke of like people don't like their age, and it's rude to say that how old are you? Because like it's just such a sensitive thing for people. Like I never understood that.
Sure.
Why?
Yeah.
But you said I'm turning 25 this year, and I can just often compare myself to like, dang, this artist was only like 19 and he had this amount of listeners and this amount of streams, or he's played for this or that, and I can sometimes start to feel that like, oh, am I old?
Wow.
Which I know it sounds so stupid to you guys because it's like I'm still super young, and I recognize that I'm young. But I think that the enemy if you let him, he'll like weave his way into almost, instead of your potential being something that encourages and inspires you, he can almost take your potential and make it something that haunts you. Like, oh, you haven't even done this yet. So true. If it hasn't happened now, that it probably won't happen in 5 years. Or if you don't radically switch something up, then maybe it's not going to happen.
What are you going to do, Talon? You got to make it happen. You got to make it happen. You got to make it happen.
Right.
To diminish and not even enjoy the journey of where we are.
Right.
Isn't that so contrary? I mean, let's think about it. Moses encounters God at 40. Fails, and then God doesn't get back to a burning bush and be used by God for 40 more years. Right. David's anointing. I mean, in the Bible, it's so contrary to like what you're saying. It's so funny how the enemy just does that and works that out. I mean, Moses doesn't start till he's 80, you know?
Right.
It's just that dynamic it's so true.
But I think it goes back to potential being such a secular thing.
Yeah.
Because who am I to gauge my potential?
Right.
And there's this a guy named Charles. He's, I think, the creative director at Transformation Church, Mike Todd.
Yeah.
And he posted something, and he said that Jesus never reached his potential. And it is kind of like a clickbaity, like, what do you mean? Like, Jesus didn't reach his potential. Like, Jesus is God. He's great and all this stuff. So people took it the wrong way. But what he was saying was he chose not to chase the potential of what he could have done in the world, but he chose to stay faithful to what the will of God was for his life.
Yeah.
Saying that all of us here, don't chase your potential.
Right.
Chase the heart and the will that God has for your life. And from that, you'll find such joy and such fulfillment. So I'm learning that, like, I want to put away my goals and learn to be content with like what God has for my life.
It's just, it's it. Isn't that beautiful? So good. Isn't that we can just all attest like on this journey, like had a table, put stuff on and just be, it's so, that was beautiful. That's so good.
And I think, who are you to judge your potential is one thing, but also who are you to judge the timing of your potential? Because I think that's what gets everybody so caught up is because they want to do it in the timing they think they need to do it in.
Right.
I mean, but look at Anna in the Bible. She was a widow forever, but the Lord said she would see the Lord, but she was old in age. She was 100-something years old, and she was meant for that moment. I think we all forget that we're not working for ourselves. We're working for our Father, and He created our life. He created the will of God for our life. So He is able to choose the timing when we need to be released into whatever destiny that God's called us to in. Like, I see our lives, like it's felt like it's taken forever. We thought right out of Bible school, there you go, Pastor Matt, or Matthew Pollock Ministries is.
My booking is open.
I will I'll never forget.
Don't stop.
We
sat down.
We sat down and we
Dinner
were
table.
We Matthew did a message at church, and we had it recorded on
My face on the CD.
CDs on that back then, but we had the audacity
send it
to
out to
send
Joel
it
Osteen.
to Joel.
Joel, if you need someone to preach.
We send it to him like in this whole
so
packet,
funny.
and we're just like, he's calling. He is going to
Babe, sit by the phone. He's going to.
So, but then here it is 22 years later and still no call from Joel. But, we've had to learn that our potential isn't for us. It's not to elevate us. And God knows exactly when this world is going to need that moment in your life, and the destiny is called for it. And you can rest in that. I think that's where Instagram and social media and fame and this and that, it's taken everybody out of rest. It's just taken everybody's rest and trust and faith in God, and says we have to do it on our own or it'll never get done. Yeah. But, you know, God's just, I think he's waiting for us to get it out of our system. And once we do, it's just like, there he goes. It's amazing how that happens.
And so it's like God knows the desires of our hearts. Right. And sometimes I feel like we think that he forgets about us if he doesn't move on our timetable. Yeah. And like, even for you, Mom, like what if Hope and Brooke are almost out of the house? Or who knows? They'll probably stay there for a while. But both of the guys are out. Yeah. And then you're going to get to this place where like, what if God is like the dreams and the desires that you had? Right. What if he's like, okay, are you ready?
I know.
You ready to go?
Scary.
You fulfilled this, but I didn't forget about it. All these 20 plus years of you raising kids and being, you know, of course you guys will still be married and stuff like that. Right. But what if people need to hear that out there? That just because God's given you a desire in your heart that hasn't been met or fulfilled doesn't mean that he forgot about you. Yeah. Doesn't that encourage people that are older?
It is.
That, hey, you're not in your 30s or 20s or 40s anymore, but God's he hasn't forgotten about the desire that he placed in your heart.
And I think God wants to fulfill it fully. Because Dad could have been this outrageous, amazing preacher going all the way around the world, but he could have lost his marriage. He could have lost his family. He could have lost his own soul. But God knows the desires of your heart. And I know us, we want our family to make it. We want our children to have great marriages and destiny and life. And we want a fruitful marriage. And we want to keep our integrity. And we want to go the right way.
Not lose our soul.
So I think that if he's delaying in that potential that you think you need to get to, it's because he wants to fulfill the desires of your heart, but completely fulfill them. Because sometimes in our immaturity, we don't think about the whole picture.
Right.
But God does. And he gives the blessing, but he doesn't add any sorrow. And so that's, I think, how he wants our life.
I think some things on this great conversation that I have had to learn to, learned. And God's been so patient with all of us, is if he's not enough now, he'll never be enough. Wow. And if something has to supplement him, that's scary. Secondly, because he's enough and my lives are sovereignly in his hand, it's a sin not to enjoy the journey of where I am.
So good.
Because where I am is glorious.
Yes.
Right.
If I'm on the backside, it doesn't matter. Though I walk the valley, wherever you are with him, mom or dad, it's a glorious place. And the enemy does everything he can to take us out of that place of grace and enjoyment and fulfillment, worrying about many things. Look at Jesus comes to the home, Mary and Martha. Jesus comes to their home.
Yeah.
And Martha can't even stop what she's doing because she's busy with much worry. Think about that. And people right now, we're worried about it. The enemy is a mastermind to diminish those moments with Jesus in our journeys, because we're worried with all these various and all these things. We just got to enjoy the journey. You know, there's a cool, clever, sexy question everyone asks, you know, to a Brian Houston, to a Billy Graham, to a T.D. Jakes, to whomever in our world, an Erwin McManus, whoever, to a Joyce Meyer. What would Joyce Meyer tell to a younger self, right? You know, that's a question, right? I've never been asked that yet, but I'm sure I may get it one day. You know what? Honestly, what I would just say is just like enjoy the moment. Yeah. Just enjoy that season. God's got it. Like, don't diminish the moment of what you are in.
That's good. How
have you, though, babe, in many ways, like along with what Talon is so saying, like, what have been your battles? Has there been identity issues? What have been the struggles? How has the enemy tried to get you out? And I want to say this, Talon, one thing I was thinking about just the other day about you, and I'm saying in this setting, okay? I haven't said this to you privately. Usually I'll call you and talk to you privately and tell you like I did yesterday, whatever. But Talon, I want to just thank you. And I don't know if you have done this subconsciously or not, but I feel like, and I don't know where you are, and I haven't talked to you in heart to heart a lot recently. We haven't had our coffee time. We need to. But it was just like, I don't know if you have known or not, but thank you for serving mom and dad and being there for us that will never be diminished. And I feel like you're helping follow us and serve us, even at maybe the extent of what you could maybe do in another way. But I just like, that is the Lord.
Yeah,
it's Bible, and it's powerful. So thank you for staying the course and honoring what God's doing in us and in here in our ministry, because it's a beautiful thing. And that's not to ever be diminished in any way. I just want to say that.
Thank you.
But babe, what would have been some of your battles, or how have you walked through, or how have you stayed focused? Does the enemy beckon you out? Does the enemy tell you it's not enough? Does he?
Gosh,
what are your battles, babe?
I know, seriously. I eat too many cookies sometimes. I don't know. I love to eat ice cream with you. I love Hallmark movies.
Hold on, take a coffee though.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I've been.
Do you love the holiday season?
So much.
Be honest. Talon, have you and Ari got here yet? How many Hallmark movies have you already watched?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I'm the Scrooge.
Yeah. Oh, you don't?
I like opening up gifts on Christmas. That's it.
That's it.
Wow.
I don't like Christmas music. I don't like watching holiday things. I hate church during Christmas season because I hate having to play all the Christmas songs. I'm just opening up right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, just vent it
I just
out,
love the gifts. That's it.
Yeah.
And the family time.
Well,
I could do without listening to Christmas music in the car. Yeah. So I need to open up a little bit and let Ari enjoy that, because she really enjoys that. She's the one with the soul. So.
Yes.
Have you guys decorated yet?
We decorated for fall. We haven't decorated for Christmas yet.
Now, Mom, I mean, this is like her world. You love the holidays, and
I do. It's so fun. I think probably because it's a time I can just sit, relax, enjoy, and I don't know why, actually. Probably those were really like highlighted times when in my childhood.
Yeah.
So, but it's not as crazy as it used to be. I could just see like it's just a day. Like why are we making all this fuss out of just one day? We get to serve Jesus every day. So now just, I think I'm more relaxed about it, but I do like Hallmark.
Well,
so Ari
it's a season. Yeah.
Over and watch.
You go over
Hallmark
there.
anytime,
I'll play some Warzone. Just kidding. On the topic of, because I think all of this ties in a beautiful way, but seasonally, Thanksgiving and Christmas. Thanksgiving is like a time to give thanks, reflect on what you're thankful for, which is great. And Christmas, it's of course all about Jesus, but a lot surrounding it is like just a season of joy. Everyone's their most happy. Some of the highest moments of your dopamine as a kid was waking up to the gifts under the tree. Like that's just so joyful, all that stuff. But I was talking last night, and my message was about being thankful in every season.
Yeah.
And kind of what you were talking about, some people will live their whole life, and if God wasn't enough in the moment when they had nothing, it won't be enough when they have everything.
Wow.
And I think that ties into being thankful and recognizing what thankfulness is an attribute that God desires for us to have.
Wow.
Because it allows us to recognize not only what God has already done, but all the little things that he's continuing to do in our lives. Good. And if we lose that perspective of gratitude and thankfulness, we can't even recognize the things that God is doing every single day.
So true.
And we'll strive for, we need this.
Yeah.
Well, I'll finally be fulfilled and content if I've reached this. But maybe it was God just wanting you to just take a step back and be thankful for the small little things and to recognize that those are the main things. So you don't have to strive. Parents, you don't have to be thankful for the family that you have.
That's beautiful.
Be thankful for the wife or the husband that you have. Be thankful for your children. Be thankful for sitting down and having dinner with them, or watching This is Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
Yes.
Like those little things will always, in hindsight, they're so much bigger than what we even recognize in that moment. So I think that's a good thing about Thanksgiving is like, I don't have to be thankful just on the 24th.
Right.
Like, let's learn to be thankful and learn to be content with all that God's doing in our lives. Because I think it would just save us from so much striving, getting caught up in the grind. Like Martha, she was on the grind.
Yeah.
She was on the grind.
Troubled with much work.
She was the hustler. She was the she was the person on your social media screaming about like, here's the top 5 ways to get rich and stuff like that. And we can do that in Christianity too.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's true.
And I'm just so grateful that, because I think like if you get famous too quick, it almost like cheapens your authenticity.
I've heard this, Talon. I've heard famous people say this. I wouldn't wish the curse of fame on anyone.
Because
There's
I don't
such
think human beings are supposed to be celebrated in that way.
That's why I love the way the Apostle Paul wrote and his whole perspective and everything. But what did he say along with what you're saying? I had to learn the power of contentment. Whether I abased or abound in all things, I think the safest place for a mom.
Yeah.
I honestly think the key. I think one of the greatest things, and I'll just say this, the greatest thing I can give to this church and ministry, my leadership, is my security. If I'm insecure, I'm chasing it. We're going to do a new thing I would have to change this church every day. The greatest thing I can give to you guys is security.
Right.
Yeah,
I believe that.
For sure.
I think one of the greatest things in the will of God we have to find, and when we're anchored in, is we become content.
Yeah.
In what is or what's not, in the season we're in, God, thankful for that. And that is a powerful thing. And I don't know, a lot of this generation has, what would you say? I mean, contentment is like, you're content? Well, what does the enemy have?
Right.
Right.
And you've done a phenomenal job with that. You've been very content because I think you're content with the Lord and your relationship with him. You're not chasing after anything else. We all know that. We've seen it. We've grown up with it. So thank you for being content. And I think that is powerful.
Right.
And I think that many people do worry about tomorrow, or they're hanging on in the past. And so I think what gratefulness is, you got to be very mindful to be grateful.
Wow.
And I think gratefulness it keeps you present.
Mindful to be grateful.
It keeps you present. If you're thankful and if you're grateful, you're present. You're in the moment.
Wow.
You're grateful for that drive to school, because today it'll be the 3rd time I'm going to get Brooke today. But I'm going to be thankful. Wow. And so I'm present. So I think that if that's a key. If we're unthankful, you're probably lost and miserable in the future of things that you can't even control.
Yeah.
Or you're stuck bitter in the past from things that you can't get past or move on from.
God, Adam, where are you? Like, you're not in the right place in your mind. You're missing the moment. You're like, look at that. You have the privilege to take our daughter. I've got the privilege to pick up. Like, your problem. What a privilege to be a part of this solution, this moment.
Right.
If we just had that perspective shift, isn't it so vitally important to have? That's good. We're thinking about the past or about tomorrow, not missing the moment. Right.
Well, I think
Talon?
what you said about in the garden, they were enticed with more.
Yeah. Exactly.
And when you choose the more over what God has already given you, then that's where you've lost it.
Wow.
I don't want more if it means that my perspective towards what God's already given me is cheapened or less.
What a phenomenal thought. God says you have everything here. Just don't touch that one thing. The one thing the enemy baits them with.
Yeah.
It's because they think they don't have enough. So he baits them to leave everything they have for the one thing. Isn't that just so on a record playing for every generation at home and marriages and family? And how?
Right.
And to get back to the wife and the mom thing, it was the woman who was tempted out.
Come on, now let's go.
Because she wasn't satisfied, or it wasn't enough for her to just be happy with the husband she has and what God has given her. And so she felt she needed worth. It says it was desirable to make one wise. She wanted to have more wisdom. She wanted to operate in a higher level. And so to attain that, she thought that's what would correct that.
The solution.
But the solution was she was wisdom. And if she needed wisdom, she could sit and ask her husband, or
the wisest thing to do is to obey God and stay in the will of God.
Face with God.
Wow.
And so I thought
you've done that masterfully in these ways. I so much to admire about that, but I admire, and I'm just going to say this, and this is biblical, and we may get this, you're not a busybody. I'm just gonna be honest, and God knows what I need. Like,
True.
I'm high maintenance. Okay, I'm just gonna be clear. I'm a high maintenance guy. I
keep me
do.
busy.
You know, I'm probably like hard. I mean, I do. I mean, I'm into little things. I want your attention, all that stuff. I just am, you know, and I'm saying that in a facetious way, but I know how I'm wired. But like, and the Bible says, I think so many times we want to become busybodies in everybody else's business, and you're not stewarding your own business.
Sure.
And you've done that well. Like, you're friendly and you're engaged and you do that and you're fit and you go on your walks and we live life full, but you've just been like, you've been focused.
Yeah.
And you've been present in that. And I think that's powerful. What do you do? Is that I don't know. I want to go back to your battles, but you guys want to leave it.
No.
Move on.
I know. No, go back to, besides the cookies and Hallmark.
No.
How have you stewarded that?
Yeah, no, I love what Proverbs 31 talks about, that the woman, you know, considers a field and buys it. If you were to break that up, it doesn't mean like she's got all this money and she's wise in investments, which you can. If you want to take it that way, you can. Yeah. But what it means is a field. Like, what's my field? My field is my family.
Wow.
And she doesn't neglect it to another field. That, because you have to neglect one thing if you're going to take care of another. And so I think for me, not being a busybody is like, I have so much to take care of in one day. I don't have time to even, like, it's hard for me to even get on Instagram. And I feel like I'm on there just to like everybody's stuff because I want everybody to be encouraged and I want to support everybody. And
beautiful.
I love you guys. You guys are
always
awesome.
Get a story reply.
Yeah.
From
yeah. Mom's all in.
So,
and Grandma Rosie.
Oh, she's at another
heart
level.
Emoji.
She is tried and true.
Fire
emoji. Heart eye emoji.
Everything.
Thank you, Grandma.
Thank you, Grandma. Yes.
True.
Yeah. And it's just, and I guess I just don't like drama. I am not a drama person. I think if you are with someone who is carrying drama, it could be your friends, it could be, you know, whoever you're hanging out with, that is an immediate sign that they're going to drain your energy and the enemy is using that person just to affect your life. So I don't know. There's just
Dylan.
There's a lot of drama. There's just a lot of drama out there. And, you know, I got to be.
So you've done that. Like,
Sure.
I admire that. You're secure in that. You don't want to go. How do you walk that through a little bit to not be a busybody and to be drained with everything else and stay within I said this to you the other day and Talon on this. I don't think right now it's about as much time management. I'm having to learn how my energy, emotional management. That's what I'm learning now. And this, like, I don't have energy. I used to like text 20 people every day and say,
True.
I can't do that. Have you noticed it's been less?
Yeah, you have chilled a little.
I've chilled. Like, I have to manage my emotion, my tank. You've done that well. What are some keys to that?
Some keys to not being a busybody and to managing your own. I think I just don't get caught up in all that stuff. I don't put a lot of worth on having to know what everybody's up to, having to know the latest thing.
Wow.
Having to know, you know, and I guess I'm just wired that way. And I'm thankful for that because if you're not home, I'm not going to turn the TV on. I like peace and quiet.
Yeah.
I'm very simple. There's not a lot of things that I have to go do or I have to be busy or I have to stay active or, you know, I don't need to fill my time with stuff. So I don't know. I don't want to complicate it because I'm just not wired that way. I'm a private person. I'm more of an introvert. And you know, I guess it's busy in my head and my thoughts are
it's like what you're saying. You have to learn how to reserve what you have.
Right.
So
that's good. That's it.
You have to reserve what is sacred for what is important. Stop wasting the little reserve that you have on everything outside
it's great,
of your family.
Everyone needs to hear that.
And your home.
Beautiful.
Because they will be neglected at the expense of you entertaining drama
right.
or entertaining things that at the end of the day have no value to you and are the kids feel neglected, the husband feels neglected, the wife feels neglected. So it's just learning the little strength that we have these days, I'm going to use it towards things that actually matter.
Yes.
That's so good.
And I think that's what I've been learning lately is
Wow.
like family is so important.
Yeah.
And I'm learning to like create such a deeper bond, like even just with my brother Caleb, like I feel like we've become such good friends, and
Wow.
my heart has just grown so much for him. And, you know, just family, you can never wrongly invest if it's going into your family.
Wow.
Like it'll always be profitable.
Wow.
Even if you don't see it right now, maybe it's 5 years down the line, whatever, but you can always invest in family and know that it's safe and secure and that you're going to reap a harvest.
It's so beautiful.
So maybe people like, I think that's something different about you guys that I've had to navigate is like, you guys don't necessarily have like a lot of friends. Like your dad, I will never see you like, oh, I'm going to go hang out with the buddies tonight.
I don't know that I've ever really done that.
Which, who knows if that's good or bad? I don't know.
I've always wondered that. I've often wondered that's some of the problem.
So we're not saying like if you are a dad, you can't have friends. Not at all.
But maybe the balance is what you're saying
I
a
just
little
think
bit.
there's a balance.
We've prioritized what we feel matters, and now we're bearing the fruit, which everyone would say, how do we get that fruit? Well, we got to go way back to how we've structured and lived our life. You use return of investment.
Yeah.
You'll never get a wrong return of investment when you prioritize faith and family and church, and now we're reaping the rewards. That's the best return of investment.
But why it's so neglected is because it's often unseen. And us as a society and a generation, we don't want to sow into anything that won't be seen.
Wow.
But that's what we're called to do. What was his job title?
Yeah.
He was tending a garden. And you're talking about how it's your responsibility to create an atmosphere in your home. People don't see that.
True.
People don't see your guys' inside of your living room after church. All they see is what you show them.
That's right.
True.
But it's learning that why are marriages falling apart? Because the husband doesn't want to come home.
That's right. He doesn't want to be there.
He wants to be everywhere but his house.
Wow.
Right? Or the children, they don't feel loved.
Yeah.
Right.
They want to hang out with their friends all the time because they don't feel loved at the house.
Yeah.
Or women, like, you don't like being around your husband.
True.
Or it's too much, or you don't feel appreciated.
Right.
And I think that's something that men can empower women with, is just showing their appreciation.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So true.
But we have to, like, how do we create a house? So like Ari and I, we don't have kids yet. It's just her and I. How do we create, if you're speaking to a person like us too, what are some tips and goals for us to create a household that is a sanctuary that we can just tend and keep and go home to? And like, what are the spiritual side of that, would you say?
Yeah, I think it's really simple. Are you asking me?
Both of you guys. Yeah,
Do you wanna go
whoever.
first?
I'm going to say something funny, and then you're
Okay.
going to answer it seriously.
Okay.
So I'll just get this off. I don't know that I've been to your house once or twice.
Right?
Okay. You haven't invited me yet.
You want to come over?
But Caleb the other day is like, gosh, Talon Ari's house is so cool. I love how they do. So everyone loves your home.
Thank
You
you.
did a
So
great job. So I just want to say
sweet.
that. Now,
Good
baby,
job,
you
Ari.
can answer it.
That's awesome. What I would say to you, it's not complicated. I just think in my mind, we're always on mission. I think my mind is set on just, like I said, creating that home that everybody wants to come home to, that they're facing so many battles on the outside. And when they step into that home, I want them to feel the Lord. I want them to feel loved. I want them to feel that they can be themselves, that there's no judgment there, that they can just be fully who they are. And so, is that answering your question?
Yeah. Love that. A safe place.
Yeah, safe place.
And you always grew up telling us that, like, just don't be mean to your siblings. The world is mean to your siblings.
Yeah.
When they come home, they should feel the most at peace and protected and cared for. Like, that was your little talk for us as kids. Like, don't fight with your siblings right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
you guys just came back from school fighting with the world.
Right.
Mom was present there. She kept it in order. She put it with intentionality to it too. But I think one thing too, with the home, is there's a real spiritual component to it. And I think one thing that women never diminish, but like your prayer life and praying and making that atmosphere, that thermostat in a healthy manner is so important.
Praise and worship.
And I think it needs both, not just the cleanliness and the balance of all that. Things are in order. Mom's there, and smiling and ready and making you feel special. I think we all love the feel when you walk into mom. She's going to make you feel special, make you want to feel like you want to be there. That's huge. But there's a spiritual component too so within that town, like, I want to know what you're saying so powerfully, but you do, like, you're busy, you've raised these kids, but you've still stewarded your time in the Word and in God's presence. How important is it too for that woman or that home to create a spiritual atmosphere for that home to permeate through? And you war. I mean, you pray. That's powerful.
And this world has it has the power to make you go mad. And so, as a wife and as a mom, you can be very tempted to go crazy and fear everything and get out of, peace and, just go. But that's why it is so important. You have to get the mind of Christ. You have to hold the thoughts and the feelings and the purposes of God's heart. And, it's not like I had a ritual of getting up every morning doing this and that. No, it's when I could gain time, when was the right time. Because even I got to sense the mood of my husband. I got to sense the mood of my kids. Like, they need me here right now? I mean, they just came home from school, or maybe, in the morning I want to get up and I want to read the Word, but they need help in the morning, maybe getting their hair done or gathering their things. So I think I try to every day, all day, I'm with the Lord. I'm talking with Him.
It's beautiful.
If I don't have a full hour of reading my Bible, I have a scripture that I'm meditating upon every day. And I'm just at least trying to put that to practice. And I'm trying to chew on that and suck out the nutrients from it. And, God, how can I apply just this one word today? And just little by little. It's not that I have like a crazy amazing, like you got to go, you got to pray, you got to study. But me, I'm more flexible with the Lord, but it is very spiritual. I think keeping your house, you have to keep the spiritual tone, and, your kids will come and it's going to be dramatic and this happened at school. And, you have to be able to have that peace of mind to bring them back into peace and bring them back into right perspective and speak into their lives and pour back into their lives. So, it is important to get the Word in you and to take time with the Lord. And whenever you see that is fit, if it's morning, if it's evening, when you have a break, I think car rides, I love worshiping the Lord in the car. So, I'll pick the kids up and my makeup is all smeared because we just had a great time,
It's beautiful.
So just find the time.
And I think as much as stuff that you're doing or working on, there's also a side of like stuff that you can't let into your home.
That's good.
Or permit things. Like you said, you would never just invite. If you knew that the enemy or somebody was coming to rob our house, you wouldn't leave the doors unlocked.
Right.
And I think so much of us spiritually, we just leave everything open. We let the world, like our home shouldn't look like the world. And the only reason why it would look like the world is because we invite the world in. And something like Ari and I, there was this popular show, and one of the first 2 seasons were okay, but then one of the newer seasons came on, and there was just so much cheating, like between marriages. There was so much just like scandalous things about cheating. And we were newly married. And we just made this conscious decision, like, we're not going to watch this anymore. We're not going to allow this to, and not even, you can skip the scenes or whatever, but it's like, no, we're not going to allow this like into our home.
So good.
It's just like those little things of what you allow into your life, what you allow into your home, and you think that it's not a big deal, but on the spiritual side, your soul can be meditating to this music that's like not good,
right?
Or the show, or the media, or what you're feeding, or I don't know. Like, we can all do a better job of even just like, oh, we're not gonna talk to each other this way at the house, or we're going to choose not to invite this in, let's go outside and settle it. But
right.
I don't know, just being aware of that there is a spiritual side to all of it.
And influences, like you said, like we're so influenced. It's so easy to be influenced. Like you said, even those shows and even, the music, you have to be very wise at what you're, like, what do they say? The ear gates, the eye gates. You know, they're gates into your soul. They're gates into your life. They're gates into your being. And so we have to be very aware of how are we being influenced, because the enemy likes to plant seeds, even if it's just by that one show or that one song. I mean, listen to music, listen to all types of music. How does it make you feel? You know, that's very big too. When we were listening, you know, you guys growing up in music, and I'm just like, you know what, I don't know. There's something on that song. There's something on that music. Like we tried not to be super like strict with you guys, because we wanted the Lord to help you, you know, find the place he's at. So it's not like, no secular music, no this, no that. You know, it was very, you know, we got to let you grow too, and we got to let you discern as well. But there were some things it's just like, no, that is like straight up, there's something on that. And the enemy will be in the music or in these scenes that can tempt and to influence us in different ways. Because I know I'm very impressionable. Okay, here's a good weakness. You want to talk about my weaknesses or my struggles? I can be a very impressionable person, meaning like I have to be very careful what I watch. Because if it's something so dramatic or psychological, like you guys like to watch that character, what is he, has like a green face and the Joker. Yeah, like I know I knew I couldn't watch that movie because it's I don't know, whatever. And I will be impressed. I'll have an impression in me. I'll dream about it. I'll be thinking about it. And it's almost like, Lord, I am so sorry. I watched that. I shouldn't have watched that. Please wash my mind. Like it will affect me. And so I think we need to take, you know, that. Yeah. And what is affecting you? What is causing things? What is making an impression on you? And to make those choices like you did, to shut it off or say no.
Right. That's good.
Like we said last week, I remembered all those years ago, but turn away my eyes from looking at worthless things. How much of our time and attention is going to worthless worries? We're just, the enemy's constantly trying to pull us to worthless things. Gosh, we got to get so focused and prized and prioritize with that in so many ways.
Amen.
So good.
It was a good talk.
I loved it.
Do you guys want to come over for dinner?
It may be time now.
Let's do it. Let's plan a day. We'll cook. Ari will do her famous stuffed bell peppers for you guys.
Ooh.
And that'll be fun.
Stuffed.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. Thanks, Bae, for being here.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
You guys are so wise. You guys are amazing.
Well, we're just so thankful for you. Thank you for the life you've lived and the walk you walk and the love you live, and what a special thing.
I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is probably the week of Thanksgiving.
And the birthday boy, the 25th. Let's go. 42. MPG or
MGP.
MGP.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Close it out,
good,
babe.
Right?
You want to say anything?
We're good.
Close it out? Babe?
Want to close it out?
Close it out?
No.
Okay.
Talon?
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. Kind of a longer episode today, but I feel like it was really, really important, really good. If you made it to the end, you're a special type of person.
You get a prize.
Right. Send this to somebody.
Eat some more turkey.
Yeah, eat some more turkey. Send this to somebody who needs it. I mean, I feel like this message was so important and so many people need to hear it. Stay connected through TikTok, Instagram. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week, I think. Right? Maybe. Okay, we'll see you guys in the future. Don't know when, but enjoy the holidays.